So what if the very reason you can't find the answers you're looking for is because the sheer act of looking is actually pushing them away?
Yeah, it's a really jarring thought. It totally challenges the core of how we operate.
Right, because, I mean, you are a learner. You gather information, you connect the dots, and you chase down the truth.
Exactly. We're conditioned to believe that effort equals reward. You study hard, you get the grade, you work hard, you get the promotion.
Yeah.
So naturally, we just sort of assume that if you search relentlessly for like fundamental truths or peace of mind, you'll eventually find them.
Which brings us to the mission of our deep dive today. We are exploring a wildly thought-provoking 2007 text by a writer named Diaform Buddha.
Mm-hmm.
It's titled, "What is the Outcome of Seeking the Tao?" And our goal is to unpack this piece because it reaches some highly unexpected conclusions about happiness, the illusion of the future, and, well, the true nature of who we actually think we are.
And the source material is super compelling because it doesn't read like some, dusty abstract philosophy textbook.
Oh, not at all.
Yeah, it blends this esoteric wisdom with incredibly practical observations about human psychology, and it even throws in this brilliant, almost slapstick ancient Chinese parable to drive its point home.
I can't wait to get to the parable. But before we do, we have to grapple with the text's central disruptive claim about seeking.
We do. We have to jump right into that deep end.
Yeah. The text starts with a premise that feels like a bucket of cold water for anyone who considers themselves a lifelong learner. It states, without hesitation, seeking the Tao has no outcome.
You can almost hear the brakes screech and stop looking.
Exactly. Now, before we explore why looking is futile, let's establish a baseline. We hear the word Tao thrown around a lot in, like, wellness spaces, but what does this text actually mean when it uses that term?
It is so crucial to define it, otherwise the rest of the text just won't land. The Tao translates roughly to the way, but it isn't a destination. It's not a deity or some hidden secret.
Right.
Think of it as the fundamental, unnameable reality of the universe. It's the natural, spontaneous flow of all existence. Basically, it's the physics of reality, the underlying current that makes the universe operate.
Okay, let's unpack this. If the Tao is the fundamental current of all existence, the text uses a beautifully simple analogy to show why searching for it is absurd. The quote is, "Fish live in water, humans exist within the Tao."
Right, because a fish doesn't wake up, stretch its fins, and declare, "Today I embark on an epic quest to finally discover water."
Yeah, that would be ridiculous.
The fish just breathes it. It's sustained by it. Every single flick of its tail happens strictly because the water is already there.
Wow.
And if the fish were to conceptualize water as this distant prize, it would spend its entire life swimming frantically, completely oblivious to the fact that it is already enveloped by the exact thing it seeks.
The text actually calls out the human version of this absurdity, too. It compares our frantic searching to riding a donkey while searching for it.
Which is such a great image.
It really is. I was thinking about how we do this constantly in modern life. Like, you're tearing your house apart, sweating, panic rising, looking frantically for your phone.
Oh, I know exactly where you're going with this.
And you are literally using the flashlight on the phone you're holding to look under the sofa.
Yes. The phone analogy perfectly captures the mechanics of the illusion. The panic of the search is entirely manufactured by a misunderstanding of your present reality.
You already possess what you're looking for.
Exactly. But your brain has created this fictional narrative of absence. And the text pushes this concept further by exploring the psychological trap of the seeker identity. It warns about the ego involved in turning the natural state of existence into a grand quest.
I have to admit, this part of the reading made me feel a bit exposed. I definitely catch myself falling into this trap.
Oh, we all do.
You read a dense philosophy book or you establish a solid meditation routine, and suddenly there is this quiet, smug feeling. You look around on the subway and think, look at all these people totally asleep while I am doing the work. I am a seeker.
Yep. And the text argues that this exact moment of pride is when you are most deeply lost in delusion.
Wait, really? The moment you feel like you're getting it?
Exactly. Because the ego survives on having a job to do.
Ooh.
If you are already whole, if you're already in the water, the ego has no function. So it manufactures a spiritual distance.
Oh, wow.
By labeling yourself a seeker, you create a false separation. You essentially declare, I'm over here, the Tao is way over there, and my journey across this vast distance makes me special.
So you become a fish, bragging to the other fish about how hard you're swimming to find the ocean.
Precisely.
Feels like trying to catch the wind in a net. The harder you swing the net to capture it, the more you disrupt the very breeze you just wanted to feel on your face.
The net metaphor hits the nail on the head. You replace the actual experience of reality with a frantic, ego-driven narrative about being a heroic catcher of wind. You become entirely focused on the outcome of the search. But the source material radically shifts the paradigm, stating, how could seeking the Tao ever have an outcome? Everything in the universe is a process. No matter how life evolves, its essence is a process.
Which completely dismantles the goal-oriented framework of modern life. I mean, if seeking an outcome is fundamentally pointless and swinging the net just ruins the breeze, how are we supposed to interact with the world?
That is the big question.
Do we just, like, sit on the couch and do nothing?
Not at all. The text offers a metric for navigating life that shifts our focus entirely from the illusion of the destination to the reality of the process.
Right. And to explain how to navigate this process, the author leans on a classical concept, quoting the wisdom of Gaoshan Lushui.
Yes.
And to give that some context, it literally translates to high mountain flowing water. It's an ancient Chinese idiom that refers to finding a musical soulmate or achieving a state of profound resonance and harmony.
And the text uses this concept of resonance as a litmus test for your life. It says, when the search for truth brings increasing joy to your life, then you are on the right path, but when it brings increasing pain, then your path is mistaken.
Okay, I definitely want to challenge this idea a bit
Go for it.
because it sounds idyllic, but we live in a brutal, complex world. We have deadlines, economic pressure, family crises. Is the text really suggesting that we should just chase constant happiness?
It sounds like that at first glance.
Yeah. Using joy as your only metric feels like a recipe for superficiality, or at worst, a kind of toxic positivity where you just ignore reality when things get hard.
What's fascinating here is how we misinterpret the word joy through a modern dopamine-driven lens. The text is not advocating for superficial glee.
Okay.
It doesn't want you pasting a fake smile on your face while your life falls apart. Deiform Buddha is using joy as a biological and psychological indicator of resonance, that high mountain flowing water harmony.
How does that look in practice?
Well, think about the physical sensation of holding a heavy weight with an outstretched arm. Your muscles burn, your breath gets ragged. That is friction.
Yeah, pure discomfort.
But when you finally put the weight down, your body floods with relief as it returns to homeostasis.
Ah, I see. So the joy isn't a high, it is the absence of unnecessary friction.
Exactly. The psychological equivalent of that heavy weight is our constant demand for the universe to be different than it currently is. When you drop that demand, your nervous system aligns with reality.
Wow.
That state of zero friction is what the text calls joy. It basically asks, are you joyful in this very moment? If so, you are resonating in harmony with the Tao. If you're distressed and fighting the current, you are out of sync.
It completely strips away all the gatekeeping around spiritual or personal success. You know, you don't need a 10-day silent retreat or a mastery of ancient texts.
Right, no prerequisites.
The highest achievement is simply that friction-free alignment in your daily life. The text even says a single day of this resonance is a day lived as a celestial.
And it highlights that our greatest obstacle to experiencing this friction-free state is our obsession with the future. The author writes this poetic, slightly haunting line, tomorrow upon tomorrow, how many tomorrows lie ahead? If we live for tomorrow, all will end in regret.
Because the future is an incredibly convincing hallucination.
It really is.
The outcome we are constantly stressing over, you know, the day we finally get the promotion, the day our bank account hits a certain number, the day we finally feel enlightened, it literally only exists as a thought experiment in our heads.
Yep.
The only place where life actually occurs, where the fish actually touches the water, is right now.
So if your process today is miserable because you're enduring it for an imagined outcome tomorrow, you are entirely out of alignment. You've essentially trained your brain to constantly defer its existence.
Because when tomorrow finally arrives, it just becomes another now that you will ignore in favor of the next tomorrow. It's a psychological treadmill.
That's a perfect way to put it.
And when we live entirely for the future, we tend to build incredibly rigid structures to control our anxiety about the unknown. We obsess over schedules, titles, metrics.
Oh, big time.
And the source material gives us the ultimate embodiment of a man trapped by his own structures. Here's where it gets really interesting. To illustrate the danger of losing the present moment to rigid processes, Deiform Buddha drops in a brilliant narrative about an ancient Chinese government escort a Guan Chai, and an exiled monk.
The inclusion of this story is such a masterful pivot. It takes these dense concepts of ego, the future, and resonance and grounds them in a deeply human, incredibly funny situation.
Picture a middle management government agent. He is entirely defined by his job. His current assignment is to escort a monk who broke his monastic vows on a long, arduous journey into exile. This escort is a creature of absolute routine. He controls his reality through a strict four-part morning checklist, and he refuses to take a single step each day until this list is complete.
The checklist is his anchor. It's how he proves to himself that he exists and that his world is in order.
All right, so item number 1, his belongings. The survival gear, the food, the money. Item number 2, the official documents. The state papers that validate his identity and authority.
Very important.
Item number 3, the monk. The physical asset he's managing, because losing the prisoner means ruining his own future. And finally, item number 4, himself. He literally checks to make sure he is physically present. Only when the inventory is complete does the day begin.
Psychologists actually have a term for this. It's called identity foreclosure.
Identity foreclosure.
Yeah. It happens when a person commits to a role, a belief system, or an occupation without ever exploring who they actually are outside of it. The escort has foreclosed his entire sense of self onto his government checklist. He wakes up, verifies his metrics, and only then does he feel real.
That sounds uncomfortably familiar.
Right. We do the exact same thing when we wake up and immediately check our emails, our bank accounts, or our social media engagement before we even take a conscious breath.
Wow. Okay, so back to the story. The journey takes them across rushing rivers and over desolate mountains. Shared hardship has a way of dissolving artificial boundaries, and over weeks of travel, the rigid government agent and the disgraced monk start to bond. They form a genuine human connection.
The escort is unknowingly slipping into the present moment. He's experiencing the friction-free resonance of a human relationship rather than just managing a piece of state property.
And the monk notices this softening. As they near their final destination, they take shelter at an inn on a bitterly cold, stormy night. The monk turns to the escort and says, "You have treated me with such kindness on this miserable journey. We are about to part ways forever. Please, I have a little money left. Let me buy us the best meal in the house and plenty of good wine tonight."
The monk is offering a moment of pure, high mountain flowing water joy,
Exactly.
a warm fire, a hot meal, and wine on a freezing night. No past, no future, just the immediate comfort of the present.
The escort is exhausted. He lets his guard down, drops his obsession with tomorrow's outcome, and fully leans into the wine. He drinks heavily and predictably passes out into a deep, snoring slumber.
And here we go.
The heist begins. The monk sees the escort is dead to the world. He finds the keys, unlocks his own heavy iron shackles, and frees himself. But he doesn't just run. He grabs a razor and completely shaves the sleeping escort's head bald.
He is methodically dismantling the escort's foreclosed identity.
He strips off his own rough prison robes and swaps them with the escort's official government uniform. For the grand finale, he takes the iron shackles and locks them securely around the sleeping escort's ankles. The monk whispers a quick goodbye and vanishes into the storm.
The monk hasn't just staged a physical escape. He has completely inverted their structural reality.
Morning comes. The storm breaks. The escort wakes up feeling incredibly refreshed from his deep sleep. He stretches, stands up, and his brain immediately boots up its operating system. The four-part checklist.
Here we go.
Item 1, belongings. He spots his bags and money in the corner. Item 2, official documents. He pats his chest, feels the papers in the pocket of the uniform lying on the floor. Item 3, the monk. He scans the room. Empty. He checks the hallway. Empty. Confusion sets in.
His internal checklist is violently clashing with physical reality.
He tries to run out the door and immediately trips over the heavy iron shackles locked to his own legs. He hits the floor hard. Dazed, he rubs his aching head and feels smooth, bare skin.
Oh no.
He looks down and realizes he is wearing the rough robes of a disgraced monk. His brain, so entirely dependent on external markers for reality, short-circuits. He looks at his bald head, the robes, the shackles, and utters the punchline of the entire text. The monk is still here. Wait, so where am I gone?
If we connect this to the bigger picture, the humor gives way to a profound philosophical critique of how we construct the self. The escort's logical conclusion wasn't, "I have been tricked." His conclusion was, because the uniform says monk and the shackles say monk, the monk is present. Therefore, the government escort must have ceased to exist.
He literally outsourced his existence to his clothing and his itinerary. Without the context of his job, he had no internal compass to tell him who he was.
The water was still there, but because his net had been taken away, he thought the wind had stopped blowing.
That's a great callback.
Thanks. We construct these elaborate, rigid identities based on our processes, our relationships, and our desired outcomes. We tell ourselves we are the manager, the provider, the seeker, but the text is warning us that these are just official documents and government uniforms. They are incredibly fragile.
It is terrifying when you apply it to your own life. How much of your internal stability relies on the fact that your calendar tells you where to be at 9:00 a.m., or that your email signature tells you what your value is?
It's a lot.
We get so obsessed with managing the how and the what of our lives that we completely misplace the who.
And we do it all to secure some future outcome, believing that once the checklist is complete, we will finally be allowed to experience joy. But as Deiform Buddha reminds us, living for tomorrow ends in regret. The only place you can experience resonance is right here, in the clothes you are currently wearing, without waiting for the checklist to be finished.
So, what does this all mean? We've navigated some deep waters today, moving from the paradox of the search to the heavy shackles of a tricked government escort. Let's synthesize the core insights for you.
Let's do it.
The overarching message of Deiform Buddha's work is a call to drop the heavy weight of the future. You do not need to panic search your house for the phone that is actually already in your hand. You are already in the water.
The daily process of your life is not a waiting room for a better future. The process is the entirety of your life. The only metric that matters is whether you are moving through that process with friction or with resonance. If your pursuit of knowledge, wealth, or even spiritual enlightenment is making you miserable today for the promise of a better tomorrow, you have lost the Tao. You are swinging a net at the wind.
Let the future remain an unwritten concept. Cultivate the harmony of the present moment. And perhaps most importantly, hold your constructed identity with a very loose grip.
Definitely.
Which brings us to our final thought for today. We started by exploring the ego trap of the seeker, and we ended by laughing at an escort who accidentally erased himself because he was too attached to his uniform. I want to leave you with a lingering question to explore on your own, building on that poor man sitting confused on the floor of the inn.
It's a powerful image to leave on.
Take a hard look at your own daily checklist. Think about the titles you use to introduce yourself at parties, the responsibilities that dictate your schedule, the metaphorical uniform you put on for your coworkers, your friends, or even your family. If all of those external markers are just official documents, if your entire checklist was suddenly stripped away in the middle of the night, who are you really when you wake up in the dark?